Hello and welcome to Overcoming Illness.
Amen.
I'm Paula Denoncourt, your host and founder and CEO of Enrich Your Health. If you haven't seen any of my shows before, please go back and watch some of the replays. We've had some amazing shows, some amazing guests, one of which is here again tonight. Can't wait for her story tonight and what she's going to share with us. But let me just tell you a little bit about me if you've never seen me before. I'm a holistic health coach. Once again, I am founder and CEO of Enrich Your Health. I've been doing my business since about 2010. I suffered from multiple food allergies. Lyme disease, oddly enough, has fallen into my lap. I'm a big Lyme disease advocate. I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, speaking engagements, and now my own TV show. I have digital recipe books, ebooks, things like that. I have free gifts on my website, so feel free to grab those. I have a 6-day immunity meal plan guide and a reversing illness ebook, so feel free to grab those. And full disclosure on this show is we do not treat, heal, any of that, any illness. I am not a doctor, nutritionist, dietitian. I am a holistic health coach. These are just our experiences, and just this is for educational purposes for you. So it's not medical advice in any way, shape, or form. So full disclosure, I just wanted to put that out there. So tonight's not about me. So if you want to go back and watch any of the replays or even the first replay where I really talk about myself and my experiences. But the show is just basically about people's illnesses and what they've gone through, what they're going through. And their stories need to get out. How we can help you if you're dealing with something. So Avis was kind enough to come on tonight after the last show. She told us about her story and what she's been going through, and we've come to some conclusions and some ideas and thoughts through the show of what she was possibly going through and what might be the culprit of some of her illness. So now she's taken some of those tips, I'm so happy to say, and has started further investigation. So I do want to say she didn't just say, oh, this is it.
That's right.
She did further research to kind of, what's the word I want, to get the evidence and to find out for sure if that's what's going on. It gave her the ideas to look into it further and research it further. So without further ado, I want to thank Avis for being here.
Thank you.
I tell you a little bit about her. She's going to go over her story a little bit from last show if you weren't here. And then she's going to tell us where she is now and what she's done and how much better she's feeling, because I can already see it. Always amazing. So let me tell you a little bit about Avis. Avis Cherie, MS, is a servant leader and mental health clinician who also happens to be a three times, which is amazing, international best-selling author. She's an inspirational speaker, multi-talent content creator. She's a brand of the self-proclaimed Miss Motivational Mogul Mindset. She's known for her infamous and purposeful motivational vlogs. She is also unequivocally one of the leaders of inspirational quote makers, which that's awesome. One of her most profound blessings to date is as founder of her 501c3 nonprofit organization, Touch Ministries, Inc. Outreach. Welcome back, Avis.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here for so many reasons. I have a new bond and friendship and sisterhood with you, and your offering and pouring into my life potentially help save parts of my life, if not my life, if it could have gone on and gotten worse. I want to thank you from the sincerest place of my heart. And thankfully, people, we, establish a relationship when we just pour into one another and pray. And I found that in Miss Paula as well. So when you find these coaches, I will say about health, when you find all these people everywhere on social media, be careful who pours into you, what they pour into you, and if they're equipped to pour into you. That's been my trajectory all my life, but meeting angels that want to offer up something like Paula did, holistically, nutritionally, and I had just met her, it's irreplaceable. So hold on to those type of people when they come in your life. So thank you. And that's sincerely, So since last time we first talked about this, I suffer from chronic migraines and have been for over 20 years, but then something else came up in 2015, which they said was fibromyalgia. And Paula, when we spoke, you identified some triggers, some things, some signs and symptoms that I was discussing with you. And you were like, hey, look into this, look into that. So
Right.
it brought us to Lyme, it brought us to mold, just trying to go down the list and scratch off things. And I had already told you I've been to so many specialists.
Yeah.
And then you have to fight to get to the correct testing. Because
Right.
I don't want to diminish what they do. It's like a superficial layer of testing, generic, general, just to make sure everything looks like they're on point. And then there's that going a little bit further and a little bit digging a little bit deeper. And so that's what they did. And you have to push for that, people. I just want anybody to know it's not easy. Don't let the door close on you at the first series of tests or
Yeah.
reports, because you really have to fight as if your insurance doesn't. It's almost like they take it like it's just that you're scared, that you're overreacting, and that your insurance won't cover it. But that's not so. It's just they have to categorize it for a reason and a need to get certain types of testing. So you want to keep pushing and pushing and don't take no for an answer. And that's exactly what I did since the first time I appeared on your show. Immediately, I had appointments scheduled. When I got to the doctor's office, and I'll disclose, the nurse practitioner specialized in mold. I had never met this lady. She had never worked at the office before I went in.
Wow.
So you talk about divine timing, and
Yes.
it was just a moment, another moment, and that was being led and being obedient. So I'm not saying be pushy, but I am saying be pushy enough to be kind enough to tell them, listen, this is important to me. It's something mysteriously going on that's masking itself behind other ailments that's coming up or symptoms that's coming up. And I need you to go a little further because I can't do it alone. And that's how I really came off. And coincidentally, her father worked for the FBI for years, and he had to go to a mold training for a school that was infested with mold.
Wow.
And so he's been an FBI agent for 30 years, and it'll loop into the mold. He didn't want to go sit through the seminar for a month that the FBI sent him to. So he sent his daughter, which was the nurse practitioner I met. At the end of all of that investigation, it closed down a huge school district in Florida because they knew of the mold. So this is the lady treating me, going down her list of all the specialized tests that she knew existed, put the order in, something that wouldn't ordinarily happen. I mean, I haven't seen that happen. She targeted certain specific things where they couldn't say no. And this is in my rheumatology's office. This is not my primary. This is not, And so I told her to give me a list of what the tests were because I knew I'd speak to you. And I just wanted to know. And so she did 12, and then she did a generic, and then she did a mold test. And so got me back on here today. And we got our results. I just got my results last Wednesday for the first half, and I got my mold test, which is positive. I got it Friday that just passed. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll take a break and let you. That's the build up.
Well, I do want to welcome anybody who's on here. I see there's like a number 2. I don't know who's on here if you don't comment, but whoever is on here, I do want to welcome you. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, or if you're watching the replay. But I do recognize there's a couple people on, so thank you for being on. So that's amazing in itself. I mean, that was a whole and we were interceding. We were praying for divine connection, divine resources, and look at the power of prayer. I mean,
we intercede together 3 weeks straight at 4:30 a.m. every day. And I always tell, even in the tips that I left last time we were on, I said, pay attention to your body. Find a trusted confidant to support you and pray with you. I'm looking at the 3 tips. And the last one was move around, meditate, walk, swim. And the reason I said all of those things is because I live it. And it never looks like what it is. And I can't wait to share at the end of this the new 3 tips I have. But just us interceding, us being tired, us both working, the importance of setting the tone of things when it's unknown. That's the part of the faith that we talk about. Things that are seen and unseen. So you got to start it off with okay, I know this might be this. Paula's not against me. God is not against me. So I have to set my mindset on that. And I had to wait. I had that appointment way back then. I had to wait those 3 weeks. In that eerie?
How
3 weeks I had to wait for those tests.
Yeah.
I just thought about it. So yeah, the mole
Wow.
tests, they didn't log it in yet. So when I went on Wednesday, I still didn't know. And
Mhm.
my rheumatologist was like, this is weird. It should be uploaded. And then Friday they made the call. And now I have to go to a pulmonary doctor.
Okay, so you're having some breathing issues?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for those
Absolutely.
who don't know, mold toxicity usually mimics an autoimmune type issue. Like she was saying, she had chronic migraines and fibromyalgia. And so sometimes it's not mold toxicity, but if it is, it mimics an autoimmune issue. You'll have especially breathing problems. I mentioned it in another show. We had mold in my house. My mother had breathing problems. Was it from the mold? I have no proof, but I'd be willing to bet it could have been. Or it could have been a combination of things. She was a smoker in her younger years. So, it does mimic that. You'll have joint pain and headaches and foggy brains. It mimics a lot of different autoimmune. So you always have to ask yourself, is the environment around me, is it a toxic environment? Could be where you work. I worked in a prison. I wasn't where the inmates were. I was in an administration building, but they never cleaned those ducts. So every time air conditioning came on, I was a mess.
Yeah.
Because that's when the mold would come out. It didn't come out when the heat was on. It came out when the air was on. So I'd be like sniffling, sneezing, like, oh my God, get me out of here.
That's crazy.
Or even at home. Sometimes the window air conditioners would have a little bit of mold in them. After a while, it builds up. How do you? It's not an easy thing to clean. So I wondered it because I had bad allergies, bad seasonal allergies, and I'm like, every stupid window is closed. Why can't I? But I didn't know. I couldn't put two and two together. Then all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, it's coming from the air conditioner. It's in it. It's the mold. So look at your environment. Is it where you live? Is it your home? Is it where you work? They do have a thing. You can look this up. It's called sick buildings. Lots of mold in these buildings. Old schools have lots of mold in them. Like I said, they don't always clean the ducts. Or another key is sometimes when you go to a hotel, especially conferences, I'd always be a mess at conferences. Why? That mold is coming from the vents, the ducts. So just wanted to throw that out there for people listening, like thinking, could I have mold toxicity, or what does that mean? Like, I don't really know what that means. And another thing I do want to throw out there, I mentioned it on my last show. I was just telling Avis about this. We've got 4 hurricanes coming. 4. There's going to be a lot of water. It already is in several states already. Texas, Arizona, Utah. I forget where else. Tons of water. We're getting more. And I know a lot of people, they're not going to move. That water may recede and it may not move. You've got to be aware of mold and mold toxicity. You've got to get your homes cleaned after that happens. I want to throw that out there. Mold toxicity is huge. Not to mention there'll be a lot of other illnesses that can breed from that water. But I want to throw it out there because it's something many people they're not aware of, and they don't realize how horrible it can be. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, but let's get back to you. How are you feeling now? What's going on?
Oh God, I'm sitting here thinking about what you're saying, and I hope people don't fast forward past that. I hope they rewind, because the water, people have asked me like where it started, what happened, and what made me even have that discussion. But I've been in a house for 11 years that some things came up that were triggering, whether it was a previous leak or this. And like you're saying, with the hurricanes, there are professional people that come out and clean those things and the ducts and get inside the walls if you had leak damage. And so I was so naive to think, first of all, don't put your health and trust in someone else. Make sure that if you don't see follow-up from those types of damages, make sure there's follow-up. And, as we get older and wiser, and not so busy, We pay attention to things, and it's your health is not to be compromised. Is all I can say. So I've been feeling like my focus has been resolution from day one. I've been proactive. My breathing has been a lot more restricted, but nothing has changed in my atmosphere. I'm in the atmosphere that is infected.
Mm.
My studios and things are at home. It used to be, I had two. I used to can go out a little more, but for 11 years, I've been here working from home. So it's been different as an entrepreneur. So that's number one. I'm the one that's home the most. So I've noticed my breathing being a lot more restricted just sitting here. It can sound like I'm huffing, and that's because, and I don't have asthma. So I sound like it though. But when people started talking to me over the phone and they're like, are you moving around? Are you going up and down the steps? And I'm sitting still. That's probably started about 6-7 months ago when they did the series of tests
Mm.
to find out what was going on with something else. That's when I found out I had the antibody of the COVID, and they said I was a long COVID hauler last September. So I'm feeling good. Well, I'm a lot fatigued, and that has to do with one of the tests that came back, vitamin D deficient. A lot of people really need to check into their vitamin D. I'm
Mm.
at a 29. At first, I was 14, but adults should be at 50. So I have to take 1,000 units a day or 3,000 units a pill a day.
Mm.
I was like that before when my neurologist called it for the migraines. So I want to keep it kind of positive for people, but to overcome, you have to understand. And to
Yeah.
overcome, you have to overstand. So you got to get inside every report and medicine that you think you're taking for one thing, because they have a duality. They can do one or two or three different things and treat multiple things. So I'm saying all this because I'm processing with you guys. I'm processing and going through. So some days are a lot worse than others. I have to push.
Yeah.
The only thing that's bothering me the most is the fatigue and the bone and the movement being restricted. It bothers me more and more. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how I'm feeling it, up to this day.
And you probably feel a lot better just knowing what's going on, like just having some sort of a diagnosis.
And that's the thing with the resolve. The minute we go into finding out something,
Mm.
speculating and not being like a hypochondriac, but like, okay, these are the possibilities.
Right.
Going back to the prayer and interceding part, you got to put that crown in your mind first. You got to put those thoughts in first, because
Mm.
what comes about is Wednesday when I went in, I'm not gonna lie, I was cooler than a fan, breezing into Wednesday, right? Wednesday came up for prayer. I didn't want to go back to sleep because I was ready to get dressed 7 hours before the appointment time. And it was because I was like, okay, correct your thought. You already prepared for this. You've already been in the resolve phase of this because you're already on the other side. So take that optimism and prayer and faith with you to your
Mm.
appointment, because it's going to meet you. And so I got there and I was 45 minutes early and they wouldn't
Oh no.
they were like, Ava, sit down. So I sat in, and I know my doctor really well. And he's going over everything. And he had 3 interruptions, and he never leaves his patients. So I'm saying all that to say we have to literally annihilate different components that's coming in to play with your mind as you're going through something that's difficult. Because I don't know if people know, but cancer and all those severe diseases were tested as well. So I'm walking in, I did a chest x-ray. I don't know what they seen. I'm walking in just like having to be ready. So
Yeah.
that was a big deal. And then not just to find out, but the mold and the vitamin D, a couple other levels were slightly off, but that's fixable without medication. So I'm good. I'm more
Yeah.
than good. I'm blessed.
So I'll say this, for the most part, from what I've seen, my research, my connections, it's rare to find people that specialize in mold. I will say that it is
Yes.
rare. So what are the chances that we prayed, we interceded, and God sent her an angel that specializes in it? Because it's
I've
rare.
I've been with that office for 8 years.
Mm.
Never met Debbie. Debbie has never worked there.
Mm-hmm.
never. And when I came in, she identified herself. What was interesting, she said, "I know you." And we had a mask on. And I was like, "I don't know you, Debbie. I know everybody at the office. There's only like a handful, maybe 3 or 4 people." And she said, "No, I know you from your outfit. I have the same one." That's how it started. And we were able to burst down the comfortability doors to why I was there, debrief, talk about fashion, talk about this, and go into mode. And then she said, "Do you mind if I sit with you for a while and I see you versus your doctor today?" And then she told me
Mm-hmm.
the backdrop to her specializing in mold and being trained by the government to take down a school district that had kids sitting in an infested school. So yes, intercession is real. And
Yeah.
even when I didn't correlate it at the moment, realizing how powerful it is for prayer to know that that goes and that's activated, it goes with you everywhere. Doesn't have to, people think it cuts off. My angels were already on the other side, her being one. That's part of them being dispatched to you, because what she was giving me was blowing my mind so much I felt like I was frozen in time. I was like,
Right.
I said, "What? Nobody gonna believe it." Like, who has time to do that at a rheumatology office, number one? So
Right.
yeah, yeah. So
And sometimes God's done this with me. He'll point out something that he wants me to wear from going somewhere or something, and that's why
I
it'll
had
start a conversation.
I made up my mind to wear white. And that day I wore these colors and she had the exact outfit. It was green, yellow, and something. It was bright because I wanted to be, I'm always on
Yeah.
purpose. So I said, I'm going to wear colors today because I want to feel vibrant. And so
Mm-hmm.
whatever I do is for a reason. So I went in there like this big colorful flag. And she was like, "Did you get that from Amazon?" I'm sorry, but it was the cutest thing. I was like, "No, it's
Oh,
not," but I seen it. And it was
wow.
a vibe that was just like, "I got you."
That's awesome.
That was
Wow.
day of testing. Yep.
Now, have you tested your home too? Have you?
I did.
What's going on with the home?
The home test came back positive after like 72 hours. And the first 2 days, no, day and a half, it was building, it started growing. And I put it in a neutral area. And I have 3 levels, but I put it in the main level when you first come in. I'm like, let's see if instead of putting in a bathroom, something small quarters, let's do the big part. And I set it on the table and it just started to grow. And then on that like 3rd day, it was disgusting. But everybody, my husband had talked to some people at the department store. We talked to a couple of other people, and they were like, "Well, those tests that guarantee they're reliable." And I could have actually sent that to a lab. That's how good it was. I got it from like Home Depot or Lowe's. They were
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, that's not reliable." When you talk to other people that's in the
Yeah.
business, you're going to find mold, certain levels of mold in your house because everybody has been exposed to mold on a day-to-day basis. We get that, but sometimes you don't have enough time to slow down and like you slow down with me and we're patient enough to say, or you were actively listening. Let me say that. You were actively listening,
Yeah.
and then you didn't surmise, "Oh, I already know what this is." You were patiently and actively listening to hear cues for your gifts and your skill sets.
Right.
And we married that in the conversation. And this is what's come out of it, really. Like, this is no
No joke.
gimmick or anything. This is
Yeah.
really what's my life right now. And um, so yeah, that mold test, I didn't have to send it off. I actually took the other ones back because we bought 4 because I was over it. I
You're
was
like,
like, yeah, I
yeah.
was like, I don't even want to know where, you feel violated, kind of, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
You
So,
do.
what do you have to do about that in your home?
It's another thing with resolution, guys. Resolve, placing it in my heart once I pursued it. There's only a couple of things to do. One being is calling the department of not hazmat, but department of something that's over in like unlivable housing situations and conditions and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So once you get involved in that, you have to have a resolution on the other side. You have to have a plan B, C, D, and E, because
Mm-hmm.
they're going to come in and do what they need to do. And if
Right.
it's not in your favor or you can't remedy that quickly, you're going to find yourself displaced. So
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts after the first show, my appointment was scheduled. I'm already, looking at different territories to move, different states to move. But everybody knows it's not that easy sometimes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're in prayer. People don't
Mm-hmm.
know that behind the scenes, but yeah, you got to be strong, hopeful, faithful, and trusting throughout all of these things, not just the one thing. It's like, Okay, I only got two options: test here or call a contractor, or two, get the state involved.
Mm.
Not because my house is subsidy. This is tenant landlord across the world. You get certain people involved, whether you own your home or not, it's going to be a situation because that's a public safety hazard.
Right. It's really, yeah, it's debilitating to anyone's health.
So I'm at a crossroad, not to stay or go, totally not. I'm ready to go, but crossroad into, the details of
Where,
that, waiting for God to be clear as
yeah.
day. This is what I said, do, and go. So in the process of that, I'm going to make sure I do my doctors. I actually started, I think I already told you, the activated charcoal you suggested.
Yep.
Ah, I love it. I
Now,
don't know.
what did you get? Are they
Huh? What'd you say?
What type did you get? Are they capsules or
Yeah. They're
you got the
capsules. Yeah. I think I sent it to you, said, yo, yeah, those are the ones.
okay.
And I forget the name of them because I had never got them before. But
Yeah.
immediately when they came, I did Amazon Prime.
Right.
I think I got them the same day. I started taking them. I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. And I didn't know if it's going to show up on the chest x-ray because I didn't tell my doctors I had started taking it. So I was kind of concerned about that if they seen something. But he didn't ask and I didn't say anything. And I take that, and I think it was something else you suggested, but I got both.
Suggested bentonite clay.
Oh, the clay. Yeah, I don't know if I started taking that one. I definitely take the activated charcoal.
Yep.
Yeah. And the bentonite clay you can bathe in. I think we discussed, right?
Yeah.
I did that once. Yeah.
Yeah, you can bathe in it. It is ingestible, but I do caution you because a lot of things they don't always make as ingestible. They might put perfume in it or whatever. You want to just double check on that,
Yeah.
Because who knows? You want to make sure it's the type that you can ingest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mentioned activated charcoal, bentonite clay. I can't remember if there was anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just trying diet too. Different. Being alkaline, less acidic foods. We did mention foods that can contribute to mold because those foods aren't good for anybody with mold toxicity. So like mushrooms, which they produce fungus, that's no good. Cheese can produce mold. Even if it's not on the cheese, it could still be there. Like if it's in the fridge for a little while, that can contribute in your body. I'm trying to think of what other foods are contributing to mold. I'd have to look them up, but those are the two big ones that I know off the top of my head. Mushrooms, definitely, cheese, because like I said, it might not be visible to your human eye, but there might be some kind of a mold bacteria that's starting to build. And if you've got mold in your body already, it's going to wreak havoc on you because it's already, it's in there. Yeah.
I think that's my biggest concern. One of my biggest concerns is just in finding out, like, where do I go from here and how much is it damaging? Listening to my voice a lot more because I use my voice so much. It's just little different things. You have to devise your own treatment plan for yourself, and you don't, it's hope on the other side, but like it's like what's
the process?
What's the process? Yeah.
How are the migraines? Are those any better?
They do get better. And it's so funny. I just paid attention today when I checked my calendar, getting ready for this. And I was like, oh, my injections are coming up like the 15th. But I double booked myself. So I was like, my injections is coming up? Because usually weeks before my injections, I'm debilitated. I'm flat. I'm like immobilized. I would be sitting on here with an excruciating headache because your body starts to unthaw right before you get your injections. I didn't realize until today, looking at the calendar, I hadn't had one. So maybe it's the charcoal. I don't know.
Pulling those toxins out. Wow, that's amazing.
And please drink your water when you're doing the toxins. I'm pulling it because the first few days I felt like I was so parched, like my throat was dry as a desert. I was like, I can't get enough water.
Activated charcoal binds everything, and if you are on medications, I also caution you because it binds the medication. You won't be absorbing your medication, so be careful.
Wow.
But pulls everything out. It
Yeah.
just, yeah.
And
Good
people, it's
stuff.
not a detox where you like, oh, weight loss. No,
No,
it's
no.
impurities.
Yeah.
It's things you can't see. Like I don't take any medication outside of the injection. So luckily I'm on vitamin regimen, holistic regimen. So
Yeah.
I was paying attention to like if my skin dried out because I have those issues anyway to certain things. Like if you ingest something, you want to see how it works from the inside out. So immediately I started jotting things down and everything. But the only thing I could think of was I'm parched and it's working and
And you just
it
need a little more work.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
That's
was
all.
it. And I
Yeah.
haven't had any migraines. I think every day I wake up with a migraine, right? But
Mm-hmm.
migraine for me is all day. So I'll wake up and be like, oh, my head hurt. Then it start raining. I'm like, I'm cool. You know what I mean? Because it's triggered by rain and stuff, the weather and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I
Yeah.
know it'll be over. It doesn't last all day. So I didn't realize until I looked at my calendar. So thank you. It's
Oh,
helped greatly.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I am so
Mm-hmm.
glad. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, what other questions do we have? So what type of tests do they give you at the doctor's office?
I need my glasses. They gave me, I'm sorry. They gave me a RAST, RAST for the
Uh-huh.
allergen.
Yeah.
The other test I probably couldn't even pronounce, but it's 12 other ones. And then they gave you the basic blood work. All of it was blood work.
Mm-hmm.
But the RAS test came back with a high percentage of mold.
Wow.
Um,
Well, that was the test that came back with the mold.
it's
So,
3 different kinds of mold too.
so what are the tests? Tell us.
Huh?
Tell us about the 3 different kinds of mold.
I highlighted it for you because I'm sure that you would know. I don't know what these are, but I did look one up. It's Helminth, He.
Okay.
The other one is trichoderma.
This is
Don't
new
know.
to me. Okay.
And trichophyton, Crichophyton. Those were the three that they tested for, but the Helminth came back the greatest, the highest levels. And so with that, when they called and left a message about my results, they were like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to go to the pulmonary doctor or specialist about your breathing because it's evidenced that you have high levels of mold. And of course, they said, I said, well, is it when I called back, I said mold toxicity. You know, sometimes they don't want to say everything.
Right,
And
right.
so I could tell their concern for it. And just like my breathing, I could tell the concern how the long-term effect could be. But they know I'm on it. So they're like, let us know what we
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know?
So let's see, what else? So you've seen a pulmonary doctor. So tell the audience some of the tips for them listening.
Oh God. The 3 tips. One is like keeping the faith. I will go back to that. I stand on that firm.
Mm.
Things are going to come up. Keep the faith. Keep yourself focused based on you. Keep your eyes on the prize as far as target. Don't bring everything else into it when things start coming on you and crumbling down. Just stay fixated on getting to your goal and the end game. Like, what is
Yeah.
my action steps to get this over with? Don't, it gets weary. You get tired. You might
Mm-hmm.
have tons of appointments like I do, but I show up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God, God sends other people to meet you on the other side when you show up for yourself.
Right.
So
Yeah.
stand in prayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Number 2 is like from the very beginning, make up in your mind to seek resolution no matter the doctor's report. That's another thing of your armor. You're going in, you're having faith, your mindset is correct. You're going in with your eye on the prize. You're not backing off, but you're being kind but persistent.
Yeah.
You don't let them. I have somebody I know that I coach that the doctors always tell them it's made up in their mind. And once they assume that emotionally and mentally, and they tell themselves, they trick themselves out of treatment. Oh, it's if I say this, it's made up in my mind. If I tell them this, they just telling me no. Write it
Mm-hmm.
down and say it back to yourself, and then dispel what's not true. Speak against what's not true. Speak
Yeah.
against those thoughts. You have to go at war with it. And we literally were in war. And I think I told you a couple of times. I was like, "Woo, the devil mad right now," because it started coming heavier. There was
Yeah.
so many attacks in the process of us in warfare. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a great amount of attacks. So
Yeah.
You know, just seeking resolution, which means conditioning your mind, body, and spirit to be on one accord. And that accord is that you're healed. That one accord is the focus of you being healed, nothing else. No
Yeah.
matter the time when it happens, because God's time is not our time. You mean that. You stand on that. No matter what it comes back, you are healed. God
Yeah.
has total control. And it's really true because there's nothing you can do with these hands and this mouth other than pray and praise. You can't fix it. You can't, if we could fix everything we wanted to fix, nothing would be broken. You know what I mean? So we would be
The
in,
perfect world.
yeah, we wouldn't be dependent on God. We'd be independent from him. So the
Yeah.
last one is remain grateful for all things God has done and is doing and continue to do. And I know that you always keep a miracle and a testimony and a praise in your heart when you're speaking. Don't treat people bad if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling pain from your affliction, or if it's just not a good day. I think I get them like anybody else all the time, but be true to yourself. Be true to where you at. You know what I mean? When you start acting like you okay and all of that, but then you'll fly off and be a trigger. You know, you got a hot hair trigger, and you're just so short tempered. It's not going to work like that. Give grace,
Yeah.
the grace that you want in return. Give that same measure of grace. And so, just watch how God moves in all of that. Just knowing that you're trusting and knowing that you're not balled up and tight, anxious and disappointed already before you even know what God's plan is. So
Right.
those are real life tips. They don't sound perfect to just appease anyone. That is truly what I walked through since the last time I've seen you. So,
Well, I
yeah.
see an amazing difference in you. That's for sure. Oh my.
Wow. Thank y'all.
Like, I mean, I can't even. You're glowing. I know you were letting the headache. If you weren't there on our last show, and I apologize, it's starting to get dark out. I need to turn the light on. Yeah, it's getting very dark. So it's a little rainy here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna help, but I apologize. It's starting to get dark.
Yeah.
That's probably a little better. Yeah, that's better. So I apologize for that. But yeah, you just look so I wish this me right here was you side by side from our last show, because you just changed like 100%.
Yeah. And that day I had a migraine came on screen. A lot of times, like 90% of the time, I carry those types of things and pain levels with me. Today, sitting here today, I do not. I had one this morning. I get over it. I got on the bicycle. I was going. I haven't been on that. No, I don't know how long. I just felt it coming, and I was like, "This is really." It's always a trick.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something to make you think you're finna slide back or something's going to happen to abort what your mission is for the day. So I instead turned it around in that instance because I felt off. And like I said, they're lingering, but like how
Yeah.
my body feels. And it's a day-to-day process. It's a day-to-day process. A lot of people said I've been glowing, and I just contributed from working on the inside out with
Yeah.
the charcoal, something new. I know, and it's been since I started taking it. So a lot of people have been saying that. And
Wow.
I've just been like, oh, maybe it's the hair. No, maybe it's the color, but they're like, nah. So, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
It's not a speedy thing. So when they were saying it early on, I just was like, well, great. I'm paying attention and I'm more hopeful. Maybe they really see that perseverance in me. And
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, that one similar to what you were just saying is one of the things that we heard this morning on our prayer call was he was saying God wants us to just say, I will bless God for the next 24 hours. I will bless God and just praise him for the next 24.
Amen.
So I will be a blessing to God, I should say. That was what it was. So whatever you should be blessing somebody else with, ask,
Amen.
what is it? Who do I need to bless? What do I need to do? What's my assignment for the next 24 hours? So just
Amen.
thought that was on our prayer call this morning. So it was kind of similar to what you were saying. Just
Mm-hmm.
praise him, thank him,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's praising him for your healing. If you are feeling sick, praise him. Feel better already. You know what I mean? Praise him, thank him for the healing, and you'll start to feel better. It will.
Mm-hmm. It's so refreshing to know that and hear other people say it's not always like that. Like it's not always, some days you don't feel like certain things, you know what I'm saying? And just knowing that, not putting God as a last resort, but
Mhm.
knowing that he's looking forward, the Holy Spirit's looking forward for you to trust him so it
Yeah.
can do the work in you. And
Right.
then when you show up, no matter how fractured, flawed, or whatever, just
Hmm.
being your authentic self and sharing it. Somebody got something from our last conversation. Somebody gets something from every broadcast you do,
Yeah.
and somebody is getting what they need from it right now. So I don't take any 1 second of my life in vain, nor
Absolutely.
do I take any obstacle for granted, because I know me sitting here is because I already won. It's because I already have the victory, you
Yes.
know?
Amen.
So, amen. Thank you.
And yes.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's on. If they have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. Um, Avis, we didn't get to talk too much about some of your publishings, your books, and things like that on our last broadcast.
Okay.
Let people know about some of that, some of the books you've written,
Oh,
how
wow.
they can reach you.
Mhm.
If they have further questions, anything like that. Please feel free. It's all
Thank
yours.
you. Well, I literally am always on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, Avis Cherie TV. So
Mhm.
when God endows me and downloads something, a word for me, I go straight there and upload it. So you can catch all things Avis Cherie on YouTube. I also have all things Avis Cherie at www.avischerie.me. That is my website with all my books and my publishings, any conferences I've done, any live speaking engagements I've done. And also on Instagram, I'm on there. I do show a little bit more of my all my sides, my quirky sides. I love music. Just got my certification, one of them to be. I was trained as a DJ, so now I got to go to the next level of training. So I had to stop for a minute. They rescheduled some things, but yeah, I love to do that.
Mhm.
Um, I have my the Price of Evolution series is what I started with. That's the first set of publication I did in 2019, and I have the first installment. I did the audiobook, and I just dropped the Wounds to Wins this year earlier. So, or matter of fact, last year, so fast. So I've been doing that, and I'm going to open in the near future the Wounds to Wins coaching program. And I'm just waiting for God to tell me how He wants to lay that out. It has changed. It was
Mm.
going to be like a group, but now I think it's going to be more on a bigger platform, and people sign on membership or whatever. So I'm just waiting for God to show me. And yeah, I love being who I am as a servant leader. My ministry is One Touch Ministry, is outreach based. Our ministry is every day. We minister to one another all the
Mm.
time. So yeah, that's what I do on a day to day. I do voiceovers as well and a lot of
Oh, wow.
auditions.
Yep.
Yeah, I do that too. So I use my voice in a lot of broadcasting and voiceover
Mm.
gigs, audio, and yeah, I'm looking forward to all the things God has done. I've taken a sabbatical in May, and who'd have thought, just shutting down, not talking less and less, but talking to people intentionally too. Like you were intentional. Sometimes not so much with other people because I had to guard access to myself
Mhm.
because of what probably was coming out of everything, and also
Yeah.
what God had wanted me to see going to the next level where He's taking me. So yeah, all things Avis Cherie on www.avischerie.me.
Yeah, talking to you, I was thinking, because you were saying you're going to do the Wounds to Wins. I see you helping more people that are ill, that need to change that mindset. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's my feeling on it. I
yeah.
don't know
There's no cap.
if Sheeta's picking up on anything out there. She's on fire. Love her. Prophetess Sheeta. Thank you for being
Oh,
on. Yep. Yeah, she might be
amen.
something, I don't know, but that's what I feel like you're gonna start to help people. Not so much. You may help a few business people here and there, but I think you're gonna help people that are ill, that just feel stuck. Like, I can't get out of this.
That is the Wounds to Win. That is the premise for Wounds to Win. And
Yeah.
because I had structured myself so much in being a teen mom and speaking and
Yeah.
empowering, and I call myself the inspirer because I'm serving from my heart. And
Mm-hmm.
then as I took this spiritual sabbatical this May through now, God started to reveal how small minded I was thinking and how
Mm-hmm.
big it had, the reach is so beyond what people hear in wounds to wins, but I'm gonna stick to that. And because it's wounds that we don't know. It's superficial, it's internal, it's spiritually, it's emotionally.
Yeah, it's
And
every
because God has equipped me not only spiritually, but I have the credentials, it's not in vain. You know, everything is leading up to a full circle of how God is going to use me and my cohorts. It's going to be a multitude panel of people that
yeah,
we minister and use our gifts like you use with me
yeah.
firsthand through obedience. You didn't hesitate. You didn't send me a contract behind the scenes. I'm sorry. It's so overwhelming how much people will withhold before you give them a lot of money. You
Mm,
understand? And I knew that was obedience. That's why I yielded, and I respect you for it. And it wasn't nothing like I called you. You were obedient. And God is blessing you. We're not talking about will. He is blessing you.
amen. Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was a big thing for me because it can be people around you. We talk about that, and they're just looking to see how you overcome another thing
Mm-hmm.
because you're so strong or you're so pure or you're so just kind and always there for. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're not a fan of someone's life. You
Yeah,
have to stand in the gap with them in whatever your purpose to do. Not
right.
do what they do, not do what you do, but master whatever it is that you do because you're not a fan. You're a key component to my life. It wasn't happenstance, nothing is coincidence. So,
Oh, no.
the wounds that God is going to use me to turn into wins with people is things that they thought was unreachable,
Mm-hmm.
unattainable. And my
Yeah,
backdrop is just going to propel them to come and listen. That's going to get them in the door and have their ears picked up. Teen parent, 4 degree, like all that, they're going to look at the superficial things that don't mean anything to me.
yeah,
But then God is going to show up in the heart and that's going to connect. And then they're going to be like, oh, I got it. So
yeah. No,
I'm
yeah. I
looking forward to that.
and that, and even families, in wounds to wins, like with sickness in the family, like one of the groups that formed when I was studying Lyme disease or helping with Lyme disease, they call themselves Lyme warriors. So what does that tell you? Wounded warriors. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yep. You got it.
So,
Wounds to wins, you was in a battlefield. In a
uh-huh,
spiritual battlefield, you was in the battle
yeah,
in the physical. And when I kept trying to figure out my second installment for the Price of Evolution series,
mm-hmm,
I already had wounds to wins for coaching. And I kept saying, God, what is the title for the second installment? And it was such empty. It was just like, duh, wounds to wins. It just
yeah,
hit me like wounds to win, Avis. So I'm very grateful and I'm thankful for the alliances I've established with people like yourself so we can heal the land.
and
Amen.
you didn't even really you mentioned spiritual, but we didn't even touch upon it that much tonight. But I have on other broadcasts. But there's generational curses and things that happen in the bloodline, and so that's something you can
Mhm.
help. You know, because
Yeah, and when I went on a sabbatical, God spoke to me clearly, and I just finished. I know you've seen it, the Armor of God series, and so I had a lot of conversations behind the scenes. Everybody knows about their armor. Okay, I even do too, but I didn't know I had to adjust it every day.
right? Yeah,
I didn't know I had to tweak my helmet and make sure my breastplate was on right. I didn't know I had to carry that. I know about the truth. I love it. I love walking in correction, but all of those key components need to be oiled and prayed through and prayed over and
mm-hmm.
massaged. And you have to walk and do your spiritual exercise daily. So when God
Yeah,
told me to do the Armor of God series, the way he downloaded it to me to give, I was so enamored. Like I was like, oh man, you walking in here with my vlogs. Like I already know where it comes from. But for him to supersede is like, check this out. It's
yeah,
all I knew the level for myself was going somewhere else. And so that helped me literally go through these tests. And
yeah.
ministry starts at home. So with the generational curses, with the um, being a spiritual warfare and a warrior in that, I'm having to do things to protect myself ongoing anyway. So a lot of times people think illness is by way of external factors. There are spiritual
Uh,
factors and attacks and generational curses and witchcraft and things spoken over you before from generations before that you didn't even
yeah,
So that's what I do on a everyday basis. So people's like, you're always doing things. No, it's some things I say and promote that I'm doing. A lot of things often is what God is doing. And then I'll find a little cubby hole in the middle, like, oh, I want to be a DJ just to have fun in the flesh. I want to go skating. I want to go do something,
Right?
because you have to incorporate it all, but keep centered. Because guess what? When I DJ, I can DJ gospel music. I can DJ this. I can DJ that. I love R&B. You don't know who you're going to reach, but you're going to reach somebody because the ministry and the heart of heart of who you are is here, and the Holy Spirit dwells there. So
Right.
anywhere I go, I don't have to turn ministry on.
Yeah. But
It's
that
so
is
simple.
though, because you're making people feel good.
Feel good, and that's why I love music. So, and no matter where you go, and I know, like with myself, you can go to the grocery store. Somebody's always gonna get a word from. They're gonna say something to you first, and then God, and then I'm always like, okay, God, what do you want me to say to this person?
It could even be a smile. They could be having a bad day. I even notice it. I answer the phones full time for grocery stores, and some people, don't get me wrong, they drive me crazy, but a lot, I can't get them off the phone, and I know it's because of the God in me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, you got to stop talking. I've got other calls.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you,
And
and
I won't get on sometimes, but they'll just keep talking. And I know that's the God, because I'm not egging them on.
no, we don't have to. We always have to tell people we don't egg people on, but they don't believe us. But it's the truth.
No, I'm not even, I'll just be,
Mm-mm.
like,
Mm-mm.
I don't want to, because I know they'll stay on longer. They'll never. And so I want to be like, oh, where'd you grow up? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I might
Yeah.
say one question here or there because I don't want to look like I'm ignoring them.
Yeah.
But then I shut it off, and they still keep going. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to shut this off.
For sure. For sure. For sure. I know people probably feel like that about me too.
Yep.
Sometimes when I have something and it's just coming in warp speed,
Yep.
I just can't even relay to people how much information is being downloaded. Even if I'm sitting right here and I'm like, oh, I've got to say all of this, you try to cram it in. And then sometimes I'm not saying anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting here, like I always tell people, I don't have a lot of outgoing calls because I'm going through making sure I'm physically well, mentally, spiritually well, have other things going on as far as my agenda, my itineraries. And so I don't make a lot of outgoing calls at all. They're all incoming. So I'm like, well, they must want to talk to me. How bad is it? Because I get tired of hearing my voice.
Yeah.
So thank you. I just pray for those who are going through mentally. I've seen a lot of mental health concerns in public, meltdowns, nervous breakdowns.
Unfortunately,
And God,
a lot more coming. With everything going on. Yeah.
people need to be careful of who you approach and how you approach them. And what I've seen, God, in particular, this one guy in a grocery store that worked there, he was literally fighting demons. And God, I wanted to approach him because I wanted to warn him. And he was with me on every aisle. And normally it's not for me to be like, all right, I'm going in the battlefield. So I said, mm-mm. And some lady tapped me on the next, like aisle 11. And she was like, you see that guy? She said, don't approach him. I took it and took heed. And sometimes God reassigns it to someone else because whatever's in that thing or going on in that spirit, it may derail what God has me to see on something else. It may have been her task, not mine. But it's literally, I've been seeing mental breakdowns a lot of places that I go, and I don't go a lot of places. And it's outbursts though. These are the ones that we read about in the Word. It's like, it was so much spewing out of different spirits coming out of him. He just couldn't even contain. He started throwing his, the gun they do the price adjustment with scanning. He threw it down the aisle. This is something that is causing a large distraction. So in a nutshell, just pray for, I'm just telling people to be mindful, not just your physical health, but your mental, emotional health. Know your indicators and your stressors and your triggers, and where you need to fall back and where you need to fall on your knees as well. And pray for others every day. Every day.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. We have about 5 minutes left. I do want to thank everyone for being on. Avis, I want to thank you for coming on again. This is amazing. Hearing how much has changed in 2-3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I think it's been 3
weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And our other prayer partner said when she entered into the 4:30 a.m., remember I told you, she said, the lady from New York, she said, God showed me 3 weeks. I'm gonna pray with you guys at 4:30 a.m. and for 3 weeks. Yep. She said August 8th, we're gonna end. And that was 3 weeks exactly to the day.
Wow. I'm still sticking with it, but I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I get like halfway through prayer and I start to doze back off. But I'm like, I just feel like God wants to meet us at 4:30 a.m. And whoever's out there, if you want to just meet with God at 4:30 a.m., He likes to meet with people in the early morning hours because we're not distracted. I believe that that's a big reason. And there's a lot of witchcraft and things that do go on during the night.
It was powerful.
Yeah, she was doing it, I think, at 3 a.m. I couldn't do 3 a.m.
I'm still up at 3 because my nights and days, I'm still up working at 3. I'm usually not even going to bed before then. But it was powerful. And when I say the prayer that came out of me, unintentional, having to go and adjust yourself and wake up and be intentional to meet with God's presence, it was powerful. I knew strongholds were being coming down and broken. I knew things were happening, and the shifts and the revelation we all were getting at the same time, and the confirmations was rolling. I was like, oh.
I mean, with that powerful praying for 3 weeks, I'm telling you, I'm going to say it again. What are the chances? Meeting with people that specialize with mold is not easy. People can't even find specialists with Lyme disease, let alone mold.
I didn't know that, Paula. And so that's just my testimony. And that is the truth. That is how it happened. And I still have never seen her face. I didn't even see her Friday.
Spirit realm.
Yeah. I haven't seen her face. And I wanted to talk to her that day. I thought she was going to give me my results. I have not seen that lady since.
Oh, wow.
Nope. And I asked to speak to her Friday. I wanted Debbie to call me back with my results about the mold, to hear her backstory to what she knew. Haven't heard from her yet.
That's interesting. Well, I hope you do. I hope you do.
I will. I'm a stalker. I'm gonna call her Monday and be like, Debbie, I need you to call me. I want to talk to her. I know she has a word for me. So.
Well, I will tell you, I can't speak for her, but one of our last broadcasts, not even just with you, Avis, with one of my other guests, Prophetess Rashida did say she is going through something with mold in her home. So she may want to speak to you too. I don't know. Prophetess Rashida, if you can comment now, I don't know. But if not, reach out to Avis or any of our guests that have been on, or even myself, because I know she said she was going through it too.
Amen.
So I don't know all the particulars or details yet, but she is on right now.
Well, Evolution, my email is evolution@avischerie.me, and they can click the link in the Instagram and they can reach out. I have a phone number. Everything's there for them. And Paula, you get in touch with me, you know where I'm at. Absolutely.
Well, this has been awesome. I want to thank you again for being on. Thank everybody who watched. Thank you, Prophetess Rashida. If you have any questions or comments, put them up there now, and then we'll end the broadcast in 2 minutes. I'll give it a minute.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, God is starting something.
Get this information out there because I don't feel like it's talked about enough for so many reasons. Healing in a spiritual way, knowing more about mold toxicity, how you can help with it, just so many different reasons. Yeah.
And it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
But so many people are going to be healed from it. So thank God for your press. And I'm always keeping you lifted in prayer.
Thank you.
No problem. I know. Thank you.
So last but not least, I just want to mention again that I am looking for more guests. I've got one more guest next week, and then we're open again after that. So open most of September into October. We're on every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm looking for people that are overcoming illness, that are going through an illness, even practitioners, nurses, doctors, apostles, pastors that have dealt with people that were ill, spouses. So all different types of people, anything to do with illness in that sense. I'm going to be looking for sponsors as well. So please feel free to reach out to me. The best way to get to me is either Facebook Messenger, Instagram, or if you go to the website, enrichyourhealth.com. You can text me. I may not text you back right away, but I will set up a time to talk to you. So just to let you know. Those are the easiest ways to reach me. So feel free to reach out to me if you suffer from food allergies, food sensitivities, you need help with your diet, customized recipes, I can do that as well. I make them easy for you. Whereas if you get them all over the place, they can usually be very daunting and very difficult to sort through. So that's where I would come in. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you again, Avis, for coming on and sharing your part 2. Let's hope for a part 3.
Oh, you got it. You got it, man. We got more to do.
Like wellness journey. I think people need that. So thank you so much for being on. You look amazing. I'm so happy you're doing so much better. So
thank you. Thank you. Same to you.
Week, yeah, till next week. We will see you next Sunday at 7 p.m.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Rashida, for being on.
Thank you.